Hello, Kalispera from Greece. Tonight is a very special episode of my talk show. I have two amazing guests, one from California and one from London. So I'm going to bring on Richard Fleming and Debbie Flevotomou. Hello, how are you doing, people? I'm going to put you up in there, so I'm going to go down.
I love it. Welcome. Hello. Greetings from California. Good morning here. Good evening there.
What time is there, Richard? Is it 10 o'clock?
10 a.m. It's still morning.
Oh, nice.
So you had to wake up early for this.
I had to wake up early. This is COVID early.
So how's the situation there? How's the COVID situation in London or LA?
Yeah, good question. So COVID is we have four category stages, and we're in category 3 where we have essential services are open like supermarkets, and schools are hybrid. So you can have your children at home, or you can have your children go to school. If they go to school, they have to be in a plexiglass, like a telephone booth, like Superman, and they have to wear a mask.
That's all right. That's good.
Or your kids could be at home in their pajamas.
Richard, listen, if they have to wear a mask, is it the Superman mask as well?
That is. You got to wear S for
Excellent.
Superman.
What is the Superman mask? I don't know what the Superman mask is.
It's because they have a glass around like the Superman box, you know?
Ah, okay.
So they might wear the Superman whole outfit.
Oh.
Yes. I'm telling you, during COVID, it has really pushed everybody to think how we work differently and how we educate differently. So here in California, all the teachers are online teaching the kids school, and they do a wonderful thing. On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they have an emotional check-in, and they say, hey, today is, let's say Tuesday. Today is Terrific Tuesday. What are you good at? Tell us what you're terrific at. You know, like my superpower is I can rake leaves and I can make pizza. You know, those are my two superpowers. You know, on Thursday, it's Thankful Thursday. You know, so what are you thankful for? Apostolos, I'm thankful for you. Debbie, I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful that we have this community together to have this conversation. I'm so grateful that you do this show to help people while we're all in lockdown. So I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good. Yes. Thank you, Apostolos, for inviting us as well.
So how did you two meet? Where? Maybe where is the correct question first?
Oh, you know what? Richard has a great story about that. So I think Richard should let us.
So it's a funny story. So I'll show you a slide. Can I share a slide with everyone?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to share a slide and see if you can pick out Debbie and I. Oh, I have arrows. I have a cheat sheet.
Yeah, come on. You gave it away.
So Debbie and I were asked to speak at a conference on international influencers on U.S. design. And Debbie and I had never met. So we were both seated next to each other on this panel. If you could see me, I'm wearing a dark suit, and Debbie's wearing, we said red, but you're not wearing red, love. What are you wearing?
No. It's something between red and the pink. It's called the coral.
Coral. Okay, she was wearing coral. She's very specific. I have to make sure I say that correct.
I'm not good with colors. You know, men are not good with colors. So, you know.
Everything is red, white, or black, right? Who knows? But anyway, so what was so interesting is that we were having such a dynamic conversation, and the two of us were talking constantly that we looked at each other, and I said, well, where in the world do you live? Where in the world do you live? We should talk. We ended up creating a business together, and it's been an incredible business opportunity. And you know what? It's a great reminder that during this time with COVID, it's important that you find your people. And finding your people could be your community, like this on your talk show. It's important for you to find the people that speak to you and how you think. And in this case, Debbie and I were talking innovation. And so we hit it off, and we basically were laughing the entire process. Debbie, what do you remember?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we were talking about innovation and actually international influence on US designs, which I thought originally it's a subject that I went there to question it, because obviously we do use designs, but from the UK. So it's a bit ironic that I was in the panel, you know. But from the other point of view, it was great. It's been... And with Richard as well, we have this idea that we want to raise a lot of awareness about good design and good architecture. And we always work as a team, and also we want good architecture to take over the world. So this is our mission in life, to educate people and actually, bring the architecture forward.
Absolutely. And what's funny, Debbie, is that, often we think it's common knowledge, and it's not so common. And so we thought, let's take this opportunity to kind of share with everyone what we absolutely love and invite you to kind of join us. I think today we're going to share with you some secrets. One of the things that you may not know is I used to be the Disney architect. So having been the Disney architect for about 10 years, I had the huge pleasure of getting into a couple of those little secret sauces that help us talk about design and design philosophy for people. But the other part of it is I'm also, this is going to sound totally nerdy, and don't hate me yet, but I also am a neuroscientist. So a neuroscientist with architecture, a neuroarchitect. And then the bottom line is I figure out what makes you happy, and we design for that. That is the secret sauce.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, so what we do and what the venture is in the buildings and the architecture is that we have this idea, the think nature. So what it is, the think nature, is that we are creating the building according to 3 different principles. So one is nature in space. I mean, Apostolos, you can share my screen if you like. So yeah, so the one is actually nature in space, where if we go a bit down, you can see an example. So we are creating gardens inside, and we have plants, we have life forms, we have breeze, sound, sense, everything from nature. The other thing is the natural analogs, so that we are creating buildings, that the buildings, they actually have indirect forms of nature, and this is in object, material, color, shapes, and anything else. And the other one is that we have nature of space, and what this is that we create this whole drama, the dramatic experience that actually people want to see beyond their immediate surroundings. They want to see like from the glass out. They like the glass walls in a tower because it gives them the drama that they're gonna go close and then they don't know what is gonna happen to them, if they're gonna fall or if they will be able to stay in the building. And this is the whole idea of the thing nature, and this is how we break free from the box and the standard architecture, and then we continue towards the new architecture. And this is where Richard also is coming from, because he can explain to you why this architecture is good, and it connects with the well-being of people and with the brain.
It's totally true. And so, Apostolos, what's so powerful, I get goosebumps, right? So one of the most important things is that we as human beings crave a connection with nature. We create a connection with all things that are of natural and tune. And the reason we do that is because there's something that occurs in our brain. So for example, during COVID, in Greece, do you guys have your children in school or back at home, or do you know what the situation is?
The situation is we have some, I think, until like, how do we call it in Greece? People, but going to high school, you don't have high school. You have like a different kind of high school in America, right?
So
people at high school, and they don't go to school right now. They are at home, and they actually do like some distance learning. Only very young people, go to school, like kids, I think from 5 to 10 years old. They are going to school because they can't stay home, and they're supposed to be more safe to the COVID.
Yes.
So everybody else is staying at home, and they're actually doing distance learning.
They're doing distant learning. So we're doing distant learning too. And it's interesting, this generation, our kids, us as we work, here we are. I'm so grateful that we get a chance to be the 3 of us together in one space, right? We've got three locations on the United States, the globe, right? So we've got United States, Europe, we've got Greece. We have all these conversations that we wouldn't be able to have, or we wouldn't even be interested in. But why green architecture is so powerful to us is because there's something that happens in our brains. And what that is there's a natural chemical that gets released in our brain called a dose of happiness, D OSE, and the D stands for dopamine, O is oxytocin, S is serotonin, and E is endorphins. And so these are natural chemicals that gets released in our brain when we actually are in a place and a space and doing an activity that we connect with. So for example, Debbie and I are actually different, right? So kind of that's a good business, right? So my joy, my dopamine comes from planning. I loved planning this conversation. I love talking about it. I love getting ready for you, right? So I'm the planner. The oxytocin comes from empathy, comes from connection with those around you. And that might be something you're really good at too, Apostolos, is that you connect with people. The other one is serotonin. Serotonin comes from a tactile experience. So for example, people that might go into woodworking, hairdressing, they're a baker, a cook, a gardener, people that have actual hands-on contact. And endorphins comes from the adrenaline of doing the difficult, the impossible. People that work in air traffic control, emergency room physicians, people that like to do things that if you said to them, it's impossible, they raise their hand and say, I'm going to prove you wrong. That is possible. That is why I love Debbie over here on this side. Because when she and I talk about doing something and the client will say to us, this is very, very, nobody's ever done this before. Come talk with us. That's exactly what we love to do. So the environment is really, really important to us. Now, just a little secret sauce for those who are listening at home with kids. Natural daylight increases your brain, increases your learning 26%. So if you could take your children's desk and put it in front of a window with a view of natural daylight, you increase their learning ability on test scores by 26%. It's reasonable. I moved all my kids' desks in front of their rooms because when I designed schools and classrooms and universities, that was one thing that all the research shows. And if those who are listening want to do a little research, you can find that taking a chance to go look at how natural daylight increases your cognitive abilities by 26%, actually up to 28%, if it's view of trees and leaves and greenery. Those things are easy to do. Those are brain boosters that you can do today, and we can do while we work at home and while we educate at home, which is two areas that we've never had to do before at home.
Yeah, and you know what I think, Richard, this is really, really important. And I guess for everyone, not just for kids, but also for all the people working, because there are so many people working from home now. And this is another thing that it's interesting between London and LA and US and Greece, that, I mean, even the guideline here, it is to stay home and work from home, but we see that people are still going to their work every day. And the reason for this is that they find it very good, the fact that they have to dress up and they have to go to a different environment, and actually that in this different environment they're gonna meet the people that they work with, that they are not necessarily are the people that they socialize with. So it's a different experience just going to the office. And also from an architectural perspective, what we were saying before about the architecture that we are creating, it is that it's not going to be any longer this 1970 desk, 1980s, the one next to each other. But now the whole office is going to be much more experiential. It's going to be an experience. Apostol, if you share my screen again, please. So yeah, so you see, this is the office that we did for the Tower 42, and you can see that this is the inside of it, and it is a space where there are no desks. It's really meeting rooms. It is large piece of furniture that you can see people can sit here, they can socialize, is the reception desk, but then all the others, there are places where people can sit and talk and have a meeting instead of just sit down and do the work. They can sit down and do the work from anywhere, but the important thing is like to have these spaces that it's a space for mentoring, it's a space for people to gain like the culture of the company. It is a space where it's much more to go there for the experience rather than for anything else.
So is this like a building that you have designed in the past, or?
Yes, correct. This is a building that we have designed in the past, but at the time of the designing, the funny thing is that we were not aware of COVID and the consequences that the office space will have. So that was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And also, you see, this hasn't get built. However, it has already awarded 9 times. And one of the recommendation is from the Architectural Master Prize, which is an award that thousands and hundreds of thousands of companies are actually taking part every year. And even if it hasn't been get built, it still got recommended for an award.
Yeah.
So we're very proud.
Nice, nice.
So if architects could have babies, this would be one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So there. Okay, so go on.
No, don't interrupt you. Please continue.
I was going to say,
sorry.
there's Debbie, if you take the slide down to the interstitial space with the green, I want to talk a little bit about that, if I could. So this is between the floors, right? So we call this the interstitial space. And what this does is it connects with nature, right? It's pretty obvious, but I want to talk about that a little bit. Do you see the structure about how they have diagonal intersecting lines and how it looks like a tree trunk? Can you see that from the screen? I'm going to share. Yeah, I'm going to share another.
Do you mean the windows? Oh, yeah, there.
Yes,
Yeah.
the windows.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I'm going to share with you another slide of what happens to our brains when we're in a space like that and why this is a brain boost space, including because it also has nature. We see the greenery, but because there's a different component, I'm going to lift this slide up here for a second. There you go. I'll share it with you all here. Can you see that now?
Yes.
Okay. So this is this is a peek into what's happening inside the brain. So these are neurotrans. So I showed this slide to my son. I have 2 teenage sons and a daughter, right? And he says, "Dad, are you doing a talk on puberty?" I said, "I hope not. This presentation is going to be very confusing." No. So these are neurotransmitters. So these are what happens. So you have 2 ideas, and when they connect, there's this spark, this idea that sparks. That's that area in the center that's shown in red. That is where the neurotransmitters occur. That happens when 2 ideas collide. The 2 ideas collide most often when you are in nature and when you are walking underneath a canopy of trees. And one of the most famous studies that has happened is that in a similar COVID environment, so back in the 1930s here in the North America, there was a virus that spread like crazy that was hurting and people were dying, and it was called polio. And what happened is that there was researchers, one particular, his name is Dr. Jonas Salk, and he was based in Pennsylvania, where he was researching in a windowless basement for 16 years trying to find a cure for polio. And his spouse said, enough is enough, we need to go on vacation. And they make a trip to a place called St. Francis di Assisi, which is in the agricultural area of the middle of the boot of Italy. So right in the middle. And so when they're right in the middle of the boot, this hillside town, they walk it's this beautiful circulation. You go all the way up to the top of the city, and there's a cathedral there, and it's called St. Francis di Assisi. And he walks into the church, into the cathedral, with the high ceilings and the beautiful arches and groin vaults. You know what I'm saying? Can you visualize sort of like a canopy of trees coming together? And he instantly finds the cure for polio. And he says, I got no new information. What just happened to my brain? So what happened was, and we've done so much research on it. What happened was he had 2 ideas that were floating together, and they had this connection, this spark, this neurotransmitter. What happened was when he walked into this cathedral, the volume of the space of the cathedral, the height above your ceiling, the height above the clearance above your head, the ceiling, was very tall. And he coined the phrase, the cathedral effect. And I'll show you another slide here real quick to kind of build on that. So what we know, and I'll share this with you here, Will, is that Dr. Jonas Salk later then pursued and shared, here we go. Can you see this slide now a little better?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a slide which shows the height of the ceiling. And what we found was that the volume of the space above your head affects your learning, your cognitive ability. So the higher the ceiling, the right brain, the more creative you are. The lower the ceiling, the more successful you are with analytics, the left brain, right? So if we know the left brain is analytics and the right brain is creativity, the volume of the ceiling affects your brain. And if you do a little research, the cathedral effect. So why it is so important during COVID, why you are looking for doing your office work or you're doing your business or you're learning, to be very aware of the environment you're in, because it has a very powerful impact on your brain, a brain booster for sure. So Dr. Jonas Salk opened up the Neuroscience Institute in San Diego, California, and it basically awakened neuroscience and architecture, which had never been done before. And so this is where Debbie and I get very, very excited about how very, very important it is for you to recognize that in a post-COVID world, it is more important than ever for us to be aware of our surroundings and how impactful they are to our ability to learn, and also for our emotions, for our ability for our bodies to heal, and also for us to come up with solutions. So the cathedral effect, had you ever heard this before about the cathedral?
I don't remember the name, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I haven't had the cathedral name before.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And I know that Debbie and I, we talk about this all the time. And you can see I'm a lot of fun at a party because I start talking neuroscience, the room clears out. But this is all.
But Richard, do you think we should now show them at the design of the cathedral that we did? So, Apostol, if you want to share my screen again, yes. Okay, excellent. So this one, it's actually a center of religion, but it is a cathedral of the modern times, and it was a competition, and we've been awarded the first prize because we had all these different type of religions going together under the same building. And you can see, like, it is all the elements that Richard was saying, like the high ceilings, and if I move, like, you can see, like, high ceiling, biophilia, all these plants inside, all the thing nature effect. And the idea is that all the people can go there, and it doesn't matter if they were Christian or Muslims or Buddhist, they would have their own space, but also they would have shared facilities. And that's why you can say that there are different parts of this building. The
Is this the
design.
whole building? Can you go up a bit? Up a bit? So this is like how the whole building is. This is like huge.
Yeah, it's a very big building, because keep in mind as well that this is a cathedral for all religions, and I mean, a necessary element, it was always to have the higher point, which in different religion, it can be the place that it's like, it's a tower, it's where people can see it, and it works as a landmark. But also, you can see that they are smaller parts with a lot of light, with a lot of nature coming in, but also the design is exactly what we want to achieve. So the design, it appears abstract, but still it's monumental. It looks sculptural. It's almost like a piece of art. So that, and it is so different, so that people, they recognize this building. They are saying, yes, I mean, this is the place where we're going to express ourselves via the religion and to be closer to God. And that's why it's bright, it's atmospheric, but then it's also accommodating for everyone. So everybody can feel that they are part of it. It's the building for every person.
Okay, so how about the office? What does the future holds for the office space?
The office space, as we said before, it's going to be a design which is similar to this, but it's going to be a design that is going to be much more for the experience. So It's not going to look like as it is now. And also all the designs that we're working now, and they have to do with offices. What we try to do is that we take the buildings, and then we are saying that the spaces that people are using and the spaces that people are not using. The spaces that people are not using, we change them. We change the planning on them. And then we make it something in order to introduce more people into the building. So the footfall will be bigger, but then it might be another use. I can show you an example. So if we go to Apostolos, I will need you to share my screen again.
Yes, don't worry about it.
You are so quick with all this stuff. I love that. Thank you.
Thank you. So, for example, you see, this is a building, right? It's a rectangular building, right? But what it is like that it has two different sides and an atrium in the middle. The reason it has two different sides is that from the one side, it's not a hotel, it's like an intergenerational building. So it has student accommodation, and it is also a senior citizen living. From the other side, it's more like an office. Now, this is the ground floor that I'm showing you now. But then if we move, this is how the atrium works. So this side is for residential, and this side is for offices. And all of these uses, they exist under the same roof. The reason for this is that this building will not be able to be full of offices. The companies are not going to use as much space as they used before. However, if we do something like that, then we can have more uses and more people visiting the building without necessarily lose on the value of the building or on, I don't know, or the value for the land or the value of the area. Now, in order to separate these two parts, we created this water wall. So practically with this water wall, it's like a waterfall spanning for 10 stories down, and it creates this visual privacy between these two buildings. And you can stop sharing the screen.
Okay.
So it's interesting, isn't it, Apostoli? What do you think?
Yes. Sorry, I have muted Richard before.
I just said something brilliant. You totally missed it. No, I'm only
Yeah.
Oh. Because I'm having some kind of echo sometimes from your microphone. That's why I'm closing and muting some of the microphone. So don't worry about it.
Okay, no worries.
So we missed the brilliant comment from Richard. But
I was only kidding. There was nothing. So what I was saying is that we are now seeing major corporations like here in Southern California, here in Northern California, we have the headquarters for Google and Apple. And they just notified all of their employees that they can work remotely anywhere in the world that they want to. So corporations that would like to put their finger on the pulse are trying to figure out how do they transition from the physical separation between work and live into opportunities that might be more fused. So we now across the globe have fused work and live. And a lot of these ideas that Debbie and I are talking about with you all today is about how to create a different version, a different interpretation about selecting the place you live that might be more suitable for work.
Okay. I think you have a video to show, or is it a bit later?
Yeah, the video actually, it is because what Richard is saying really, really wisely is that companies need to evolve and architecture needs to evolve in order to continue thriving. And this video, it's not one of our projects, but we would like to show it because it is from somebody who is trying to solve the project, to solve the problem, sorry. It is something which is how the future of a city may look like, of a new city where it's not going to be full of cars as it is at the moment, but where the cars, they will be of a smaller amount, they will be electricals, and then we'll have the pedestrians, and then we'll have the cyclists, and how the future of architecture can be in a way much more sustainable and zero carbon. And we are very, very much into from the thing nature to zero carbon emission and sustainability in the buildings. this is one of the two stuff. So we stand for the thing nature, we stand for biophilia that we explained before, and absolutely for sustainability. So this video is an example of a new city that it goes towards these principles, and you can saw it.
Yeah.
So yes, so it's a very good video, right? And what we want to do is that we want to create more of these cities. We want to take the concept and move it forward and take it further and say, yes, it's brilliant as it is, like that they are changing the grid and they are changing the building, but then we want to make the building even more connected with nature and the biophilic design for another, and I mean, this city is in Japan, but like for another place in the world.
Oh, is it in Japan, this city?
Yeah, yes, this is a Toyota. I don't know how to say that without a Greek accent.
Toyota.
So when is it exactly going to be built? Because it's not built right now.
It's not, but I mean, it's going to get built pretty soon because the drawings are already there.
All right, okay.
Yeah,
so we can build.
Go on.
We can build the next Honda or the next Ford or the next.
Yeah, what's so important in all of our conversation that we're talking about today is that there's a shared component of one key element that we don't want to underestimate, and that is the power of the people. And the people in all of our conversations about design are what's part of the inspiration. And this has been part of a conversation going on for a while, but there was a decade, or there was a legacy of people thinking about buildings that were standalone costs of energy efficiency. And we didn't talk about the wellness of the people in the buildings. That conversation has shifted, specifically with conversations about biophilia and about thinking green, but also about neuroscience and neuroarchitecture. We now know, we have data, we have more information to produce a better person performance in a building than we've ever been able to do before. And I listen and I implore everybody out there to ask for it, because we see the beautifully designed Apple or iPad or iPhone or my mouse, or like my Tesla, like the idea that we love our cars, but we don't have that matched in buildings just yet. And so where we're going in the future is to take a look at taking something that nature gave us, like the beautiful shape of an egg, or the beautiful design of a computer like Apple, or the beautiful functionality and creativity fused with engineering and innovation with Tesla, and fuse all of those ideas together in a building. That's where we can have a both personal peak performance, but also intellectual, that we are going to be able to think and feel better once we're with all of these environments. In we're calling it biophilia, but within the idea that we're getting our connection with the idea of organic and original innovation with nature.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Debbie, for interrupting you. So for people that are actually either now and actually watching the live now, can we actually repeat what is biophilia? Just like a short definition.
Yes, so biophilia is the architectural forms that they are inspired by nature, and they are breaking free from the box. So they have all these groundbreaking curves, and they have all the exciting forms. The reason for this is because for whatever we said, that it's good for the brain, it is good with all the chemicals that they release, is good for the well-being. And it's also very interesting that there are so many studies that they're saying that people that they live in buildings that they are of biophilic design, or they have the nature building in somehow with flowers, with trees, and all of this that we said before, then they are reported to have a reduction on their stress level, on their blood pressure, on their heart rates. So actually, it is something which has a direct effect on people's everyday life. And also, the study says that it increases their productivity, their creativity, and so practically we are creating buildings that they care about the people, its users. And this is the smart building. This is the building of the future, the building that cares about the users.
So it's just not just a building for people to stay in and feel safe and warm. It's like a whole different, way of thinking,
Absolutely,
Because
yeah.
I think I remember you were talking to me yesterday about an example of like a building that was supposed to be not just safe now because of the COVID. You were talking about an example. I don't know if you remember yesterday, but we had like a little chat about the buildings. I'm not sure if you remember.
I mean,
how the things changed because of the COVID, the whole design of the buildings.
Oh yeah, the designs that in the office space, this is even the big office landlords. They said that COVID is really an office building virus. Because nobody is allowed to go there anymore. But it is really, really important that going forward, all the changes that we were proposing from before, not only for the offices, but in general for the buildings and the forms, that now they are pushed forward even further. So now it's the right time to say, oh, the buildings are free of people. That's why let's find the best way to decarbonize them, to make them zero carbon. And then what is the best way to bring them to the future? Richard, what are your thoughts?
I totally agree with you. So, and Apostolos, what we were talking about yesterday, and to answer, just like Debbie said beautifully, biophilia is connecting people with nature. And nature is natural daylight, it's natural plants, and it's with natural materials. It's people and nature. That's it. It's that simple. Office buildings years ago used to have windows that would open up. Right? And then they thought, right, don't you remember? And if you look at, and what happened was they thought for energy efficiency, they would start to close the windows and they would share the air. That's where COVID is stuck, because COVID is stuck with sharing the air because it is a respiratory illness. So when you look at environments, I mean, how much I love Greece, right? So you have the outdoor amphitheater. You have the Acropolis. I mean, you have some incredible inventions, right? Innovations, democracy, philosophy. Debbie and I, we were talking about it, is that there's a tremendous love.
I don't know where he's getting his information from.
Let's say to people that don't know you, that you are also half Italian.
I am half Italian. So, la mia madre italiana. So I speak Italian and I teach in Italy in design school. And my name, Richard Fleming, doesn't seem Italian. It's kind of like my James Bond, know.
Yeah, I was gonna say that yesterday when we first talked, but
like people don't know.
Flamingo.
Exactly. Ricardo. So what happens was when you look at Greece and the outdoor amphitheaters, and you look at the idea that Socratic method of learning of school was outdoors in a circle, not in a classroom with rows. I mean, I hate to say it, if you go back to the origins of Greece and our Greek heritage, there's a lot of power in those ways in which we had the most advancements. Could the classroom that was outside contribute to why we made so many advances in language? You know, those are where biophilia, people and nature connections, have now need to come forward, because what happened, like Debbie was just saying, is that they put all people in boxes with no connection to nature.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And the problem is that they put the people in boxes because after the World War, it was the easier thing to build. So
Yep.
practically it was only for financial reasons, and because it was able to build quick with concrete and go up in height. But that's it. And so now it is the right time. Now I believe that we have the opportunity to learn from this and to move the architecture forward.
And building materials before used to be created in modules that could fit on trains or on trucks, right? We're able to print products, pour concrete in the field. And so we're able to have all of these beautiful shapes that have more strength in structure, like the Tower Project 42 that we showed earlier. That project was built out of the concept that there was strength in that structural system, that kind of mesh system that went around the building. All of those conversations are back in there, but there is more power to helping heal the people. And now during COVID, more than ever, these are the conversations we need to have. We need to have these in our classrooms, even in our own homes. We need to have these in our workplace. When we look at repurposing buildings that were closed systems, do we need to talk about opening the windows? Do we need to talk about creating a floor of just green space? You know, like we showed that biophilia building, or our Project 42, we had we call it interstitial space, but kind of like a sky lobby, where we had this airspace.
Can I just show you a picture that I actually was searching now while you were talking, and tell me, if it's something like similar to what we are talking about? Let me share this picture. I don't know if you can all see it. Is that similar to what we are talking about? It doesn't seem like that. It just seems like a tall building, but...
No, you know what's the thing, Apostolic? Listen, this building, the good thing is that it is in a natural environment, right? So it's next to a forest. This building, I don't know if it is, I can't say if it is made of timber. If it is made of timber, then this is a step forward. But it would have been better. I mean, if it was our design, I would say make some floor space to be absolutely green. You know, make some, give it a different form, make it a more natural form, and actually move the design even forward, because again, all these shapes, they are easy to build, and also, the thing is like they are potentially less expensive. However, what we are challenging now is that we are challenging the sustainability and biophilia. It actually doesn't raise the price of the development, it actually raises the end value, because people are always willing to be in a nice environment and actually pay more for this. So for the developers, it's a good thing. And for the developers also to do good for the people that they are going to live there or work there. I mean, that's really important as well, to be more people-centric and people-first.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that we take for granted, I think, is that we as humans have about 5 of our senses, right? So we have sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell, right? And of the 5 senses in design, we tend to only think about the eyes. Okay, so this is where my Italian comes in. I use my hands a lot. I'm going to try to put them out of the lens here. So one of the things about the sense of smell is, having been working with the Walt Disney Company and other companies, but Walt Disney most importantly, is that when you look back and when you think back to your early memories of experiences, you tend to record the most data from sight and from sound. But the problem is they all live in a different part of the brain. They call the hippocampus of the brain. But your sense of smell lives by itself in the brain, and it is the first thing to come back. So for example, when we look at our buildings and we see fresh grass, I think often I can recall what fresh cut grass is. I don't know if you can remember I have an Italian mother, right? So garlic is really popular in my house, right? I don't know about your house, but
I think in Greece too. Yeah, in Greece too.
Right? So when you recognize that smell has a powerful positive effect on us, we recognize that we are almost deprived of a sense of smell in our designs. And where does that come from? It comes from organics, nature, a garden. Maybe it's rosemary or thyme or basil or any of those types of ingredients that can work for those. So with Disney used to create a machine. They actually patented this machine in the 1980s. And I don't know if folks have been to Disney Paris, or if you've been to Disney, Euro Disney back then, or if you've been to Florida, Walt Disney World, or in California, Disneyland, or Hong Kong, if we have listeners listening in Hong Kong. When you walk down Main Street, they would, underneath the storefront windows, they would pump out the smell of vanilla.
Oh, nice.
And why would they do that? Because their customer was the child, and the child couldn't read, right? They couldn't speak, precognitive, and they could smell. And so whenever you would smell vanilla, you would remember Disneyland. And so now they created this connection that I want you to bring back. A lot of the restaurants that we design, we recognize the power of the aroma of actually cooking as a positive. Think of coffee, right? I often ask my clients, and Debbie and I, we talk about this, what is your earliest, happiest memory? And then when you go back to your earliest, happiest memory, what was it? And did it have a sensory experience, right? So one of my earliest happy memory would be the smell of fresh cut grass and playing sports outside, right? Somebody's earliest childhood memory might be, blueberries or swimming in the ocean, or sunscreen. But if we recognize that all of these are part of design, we design for the whole person. And that is the power of both, we're calling it biophilia, but it's think nature, think natural, think nature. All of those elements come into the conversation. Can you remember one of your earliest memories, Apostolos? Or happy one?
Apostolos, what's your earliest memory?
I can't actually remember anything in particular. I just remember myself just playing outside with a lot of people, playing like football with a lot of people. Right now, you can't actually do that in the cities. You have to go like the football ground or, it is not like, I don't know. I remember myself like being a young boy, kicking a ball around in the neighbor. We don't have this anymore.
I know.
Yeah, but in the smart city of tomorrow, people and kids will have it again. Because in the smart city of tomorrow, outside there's going to be no streets. It's going to be full of gardens, really. And the cars will be all electric, and people will have to park their car away from where they live. And, and it's going to be really different. So I believe that we can bring this thing that that the kids were able to go outside and play again. We can do that.
Yeah, it's a nice dream. I'm not sure when it's going to happen in Greece. For example, since we are talking about, the nature, in my city, I live like in a small city, which is really, really beautiful. It has like sea and mountain together. And in the city, we don't have green. We don't have enough green for people. We're like 3% of the green percentage or something in the city, which is really, really bad because we're supposed to have at least 5% in terms of population and stuff like that. I'm not sure if you actually understand what I'm saying. I'm saying that we don't have enough green. So what are you saying is really nice.
Bad. Yeah.
It's really nice, but I'm not sure when it's going to happen in Greece. Because in Greece, they mostly build stuff like roads. They don't build like enough green for people, which is like a problem for us.
Well, and it's, and it's funny. If everyone took a little step forward for a moment and they said, if I brought a plant to my space, and it could be your office, it could be your home, it could be anywhere in your house. That plant absorbs carbon dioxide and gives off oxygen. And the bigger the leaf of the plant, the less daylight it needs, and the more toxins it it absorbs and the more oxygen it gives you. So we want the city to give us greenery, but we could. Now, I'm saying this to you, by the way, because I only have 2 living plants in my house. I'm not a green thumb. But if you are really craving it, I would get a plant. Like Debbie, you have got plants behind you. But, those are the simple steps you can make. Also, like, and Debbie knows this living in England better than anybody, we crave natural daylight. And so light fixtures now have, if you look at technology, you can change the level of the light bulb from super bright, like 5,000 kelvins, to 2,700, which is warm, which is a warm, like sunset light. And you can adjust those to help your mood, right? Right. So you're not, like our children that are on our iPhones, right? They are looking at daylight constantly and they're having a hard time falling asleep. Like, we have to be able to modulate our lighting as well. But the first step is awareness. If we could just start the conversation, it's so important.
Richard, but do you think that, like, for a city that, for example, like Volos, where Apostolis lives, do you think
let me find a picture of a city while
find a picture. But I think that maybe we need to start like an initiative and like try to get people together and say, how can we make Volos the first think nature city in Greece, and get Apostolis and the people from the university and all of that, and start like working on this.
Yes. Did you see the building in Milan, Italy that used trees on their balcony? That was designed.
Yes.
That might be, I don't know, Debbie, if you could pull that up. I'm going to try to pull that up while we're talking. But if you could see what they're doing in parts of the world, Italy's green building. I'm going to look this up. I'm drawing a blank on who designed it.
Oh, this is Volos.
This is a bad picture of Volos, but you can actually see that it's like, it has like the sea, the mountain. You can't see the mountain right now, but you can see a lot of green in this picture.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It doesn't even look so good in this picture. I actually took a picture that doesn't look good.
So the question is, okay, so if I could share with you this building in the center of Milan. Let's see. So I'm going to go back to the screen and bring this up. Bear with me for a moment. I want to do a little screen together. And
I'm also going to find a nice picture, so, people don't complain that I'm showing, bad pictures of my city.
Yes, you do. Okay. So I'm going to share this picture with you about what's happening in Milan, Italy.
Okay.
Yeah, this is really, this is good. And this is easy to do, but I think that this can be an opportunity. I think that we can potentially create a movement, a think nature movement in Volos. I think we need to start doing that. I've been to Volos. I haven't been for years, but I've been to Volos with the Scouts when I was at Scouts so many times. I did my Daphnis there, one of the awards that you do. So it's a lovely, lovely place, and it has the sea and the mountains and everything. But yeah, I agree with Apostolis. I think that is one of the places that the concept of think nature and biophilia, it hasn't been developed, and this is a lost opportunity.
Well, this is like another picture now. I don't know why we're talking about my city, but I'm promoting now in California and London.
We're ready to move. Like everybody, we are so ready to move. We're with you.
Well, I think, Apostoli, you need to ask your people, your viewers, to send you an email and see if we can work on a Think Nature project in Volos. I think this is the next step.
Actually, we're building like a very strong community now. Hopefully, in the next few years, we're gonna take on. About digital nomads, so people that are actually going to work from here, come here because it's very beautiful in here, and work from by the sea and everything. I usually take my laptop and go outside because I can't find like a building that actually attracts me to stay inside. So there are plenty of opportunities.
Well, yeah. I agree with you. And so just so that we are, we're being, okay, here's another picture. Or did I send you the same one again?
Yes, I think you sent me the same one.
I'm sorry. Let me do a screen share of the one I wanted to share with you. Let me open it up again. This is, let me close that. Let me close that. Let me open this up just so that you can see it in context of the street scene. There you go. So can you see the tower on the street?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, one of our clients here in California is one of the 8th wealthiest men in the world, and he is a real estate developer. And one of the conversations that I have with him often, and this is the challenge, is that you don't want to be afraid. Is that I tell him often that sometimes we need to delete buildings out of the fabric in order to give us enough air and space to create this piazza that allows us to do things that are more peak performance of the other buildings. So as people shift right now, so everybody's left the radius of commuting to work, they can work from home. So now you want to make your cities the destination that they want to live in. Not only the destination that they want to work in, but the destination that they want to live in. And this type of think nature idea contributes to the enhancement of attracting people, and attracting people attracts tax revenues, attracts culture. You have colleges. You know, one of the conversations, you know, Debbie and I, if people are out there listening and they would like us to come speak at a university, or if they want to follow up with us, or if your business is wanting to reach out to us, you know, these are, or other architects that are thinking about starting, you know, how do you like being an architect? I know that we have, you know, children. You know, one of the big things is that growing up, I had never met an architect, and I became an architect. So if I'm the only architect you meet, and this is the only radio conversation, I want you to know I absolutely love being an architect. Debbie?
Absolutely, yeah.
You love it too. And, you know, do what you love. And the reason we get to do this is because we get to use all parts of our brains to help people. You know, one of our personal passions, but one of my personal passions is I want people to thrive. I want you to thrive. And wanting you to thrive means I want your business to thrive. I want your family to thrive. I want you to thrive. I mean, you know, all of those are about thriving. And I feel like we have this toolbox of all these goodies to help share with people, to help you and your business thrive. And that's part of, I think, why we get so excited to talk with you today, because we want people to hear this message so that they know that there's books to read and there's conversations to have. And, you know, especially during COVID, we want to think differently and design out this isolation, so that we can, you know, create environments that are more healthy, and that we don't contribute to spread this, and we, you know, stomp out this issue of COVID. You know, all of those are big parts of this conversation.
And also to mention that they also boost creativity. They boost like productivity. So it's not like only in terms of architecture, it's also in terms of management. Like if you want to plan your business and you want to have like a new office, it's quite important to actually design something that's actually unique. Also unique, so people that actually work there, they feel very proud of working there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just to close down, and then we can do another follow-up. Another
we can
day.
do another workshop, perhaps, so people actually know more about how to actually design this kind of things.
But Apostolos, I think your task next is to find the people in Volos, to follow the think nature concept. That's your task. We know you have the connections with the architectural school and everything. So this is your task.
The local authorities actually listen to us in Volos, and I think I also received a like from like one of people, like, you know, after the mayor, like they have like different kind of officers. So I think one actually watched the show even for a bit. So if he actually hears right now, you know, here we are, you know, let's build something unique.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will be very, very happy to help with that.
And if you have questions or comments and you would like to email my talk show, and, you know, start a conversation about things that you're concerned about, things that you want to see addressed, because it is a dual perspective.
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we can listen to what you say, and we can reply back.
Yes. Let's see if someone wants to actually leave a comment right now. We're gonna stay, you know, for one more minute to see if there is like one question maybe. So you have like less than 1 minute to type a question for us. So if you're too fast, you know, just drop us a message. at the comments, and we're gonna show it.
Yeah, Debbie, when you and I speak, sometimes we get a lot of questions, and the question in the audience is, where can I learn more about this? And the first thing I would say is that, first of all, consider checking out the website, Debbie Flevotomou. Like, we can take a look and you can see the images that we shared today. But also take a look at things like neuroscience and architecture, biophilia, the cathedral effect, understanding your senses, the height of your ceiling, and how you can do brain boosts. These are part of the conversation that we need people to search out. Understanding that those are out there for us. Often I get asked, and Debbie gets this question, we get this question a lot, but it's like, what is the value of the people, right? So if you look at your employees and they're all working from home, how do I give them a brain boost formula? And it's almost like, let them select the location in the house. Let them take a look at is there a natural daylight? Just give yourself like a quick little inventory. There's something I want to give you guys a link to. It's called Mind Time, right? So like a watch, Mind Time, and it's a quiz that you can go online and take, and there's 18 questions. It's not my quiz, so the answers are private. But what it is you create an awareness of understanding how your brain works in your ability to match your space to your brain. And so I would encourage you to take a look at mindtime.com.
If you can type it on our private chat. Yes.
Send us what you get.
Yes. Yeah. Send me like the link so I can actually share it with people actually watching.
Okay, I will put it right in our little comments page.
Yes.
And it's funny because it doesn't matter if you're in a family or if you're by yourself, but because you're with a group of people doesn't mean you're all exactly the same. And I think, and there's no wrong answer. And I think often people get frustrated because they don't have, like fortunately for the three of us today, we are, of similar visions and similar minds. But it's important for everybody, I'm going to put it in the comments, but it's important for everybody to find their tribe, to find their people. And more so now, maybe because we're in COVID, and, like my wife and I, kind of like Debbie and I, we are very similar, but we have different perspectives, and it makes for better solutions. It's how life works. Okay, so I put it in there. It's www.mindtime.com. Simple.
Yes. Okay, I'm sending it now up to the comments.
Right, Risa, we have to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, Debbie's controlling the conversation now. I think it's because she wants to be like on the Instagram, and because the Instagram has like a time limit for videos. They're like 45 minutes, so now we have to cut it in 2 parts in order to actually be on the Instagram as well. So yeah, it's good, but actually someone is keeping time because the conversation is very interesting. So hopefully I'm gonna have both of you again sometime soon, I hope. And we can also do, a different kind of talk show. I was talking to you yesterday. We can actually have like different kind of things because we both live in different cities, different countries, actually, different continents, to be honest, now that I'm thinking about it. So we can actually have like a small talk show about discussing things that are happening there, like how do you people see the new president of USA? So going beyond that.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you very much for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And we could think about what is our continent's greatest inventions too. We could have a favorite little conversation.
Cool. Yeah.
And we can have also maybe a matchmaking.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I said that Greece is the creator of love, that you guys have created the enhancement of it. Debbie says, I don't know. There's the Italians and there's the Americans. And I said, well, okay. Americans, we created blue jeans, the hula hoop, the Apple computer, but maybe potato chips. But England, what was yours in England, Deb?
It was the empire.
This doesn't actually The comment about the empire doesn't look so good. So,
Yeah, but it was the biggest empire. That's true. It was the biggest empire in the world at some point.
And you created the toothbrush.
Really?
So
I didn't know
important,
that.
isn't it?
Yes.
It's shockingly important.
Yes,
I'm
the
gonna search about
toothbrush, and I think it was there's a radio transmitter, and I mean, there's so many great inventions that are in our histories of all of the places that we're living in that we should know about. I mean, I think for you guys in Greece, it's a little easier to put your finger on the pulse, but for us in America, we only go back 244 years.
Yeah.
So,
We just saying that we discover everything, in Greece, that's what we're saying. We're the first.
pretty much.
So, yes.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much again. Have
Thank
fun.
you, Apostolis. Good to see
And thank you
you.
very much for it. Take care and see you next week. Next week, we're going to go back to talking Greek in this show. And we're talking about how to boost your, your productivity, your creativity, and yourself. How, we need some kind of boost right now. It's COVID, so everybody's feeling depressed. So we're going to try to change that next week. So I'm going to have a very lovely speaker next week. I'm going to announce it tomorrow. But thank you very much, Richard. Thank you very much, Debbie.